Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondon and I'm the author of Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love, available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible books. Go check it out. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thanks for giving the video a thumbs up. I do readings. I do twin flame readings, romance, personal, life path and purpose, general readings. You can book it at my website, fondonwellness.com. Today we are talking about the 5D experience in twin flame connections. This is a very special topic for twin flames, since the 5D, which means fifth dimension, spiritual experience that twin flames encounter, goes well above and beyond any other 5D experiences that you can have with another human being. Now, of course, twins, biological twins, tend to experience a lot of things like telepathy or feeling each other or having premonitions about each other. And of course, close soulmate relationships can experience similar things to those that biological twins actually do experience. However, the twin flame connection actually takes this well above and beyond any of those experiences. And if you are in a twin flame connection, you may have already begun, or maybe it's been going on for a long time. Maybe you have already been experiencing a lot of these 5D spiritual experiences and you're a little bit confused and you're not sure what is normal and what's not normal and what kind of experiences can you expect to have in a twin flame 5D connection. Now here's one thing that I do want to say. The 5D experience, or the spiritual experience that you will have with your twin flame counterpart, is different for everybody. Everybody is going to experience a slight variation of the 5D spiritual experience with their twin flame. It may look very different. So my experience with my twin flame may look very different than your experience with your twin flame. And I'm going to break it down and explain those a little bit better in just a minute. But one thing that I really want to hit home for you guys, and this really came to me through a lot of questions, twin flame questions, and of course a lot of comments, and in speaking with other twin flames through my coaching program and my readings, and also over Patreon with my patrons over Patreon, which we have a little bit more intimate conversation going on in the Patreon podcast. So through all of these experiences, I've gathered data and information on what do other twin flames experience when it comes to the 5D. And what I have discovered through this is that everyone has a slightly different experience in the 5D. Now, one thing that I want to delineate is that if you are having no 5D experiences with your twin flame at all, or just a very minimal amount of 5D experiences, meaning like there's not really a lot of synchronicities, coincidences, telepathy, telepathic sex, or lucid dreaming, or speaking to each other through dreams, or having visual experiences with your twin flame, then it's likely that it's not really a twin flame connection. It could be a soulmate connection or a karmic connection. I've produced a video on labels and what it means to be a soulmate versus twin flame, and it might help you to just understand the differences between the relationships, and I'll post that link below. I may put it in a card up above, but I believe that this is one thing that actually really differentiates a twin flame experience and a twin flame connection from other soul connections, or perhaps even like a karmic or a regular human experience that you have with somebody in a love-based relationship. So this is something that is very, very unique to twin flames, in that the experiences of the heaviness almost of the spiritual connection is something that you don't go looking for. It's not something that you actually try to do through chakra clearing or through meditation or drugs or any other thing. It's that because of the nature of the twin flame connection, in that your twin flame soul lives within you, your soul lives within your twin flame, and most twin flames will find, especially in the beginning of the connection, and I know my angels are here with me. I'm feeling like angel bumps continuously, so they're here with me validating this experience and validating these messages for you today. A lot of twin flames get spooked because they're not looking for it. They're not looking for these 5D experiences. They're not looking for those intuitive connections that come very forcefully sometimes from their twin once that heart chakra has been activated by meeting their twin. Now, you can meet your twin virtually over like FaceTime or Skype or Zoom, or you can meet your twin flame in person. I seriously believe that a lot of the stronger connections and the stronger activations tend to happen with that in-person meeting. It's just that there's more than the physical, there's more than the spiritual, there's that ethereal piece, and also there's that prana piece, that life force piece, the energy bodies that do come together when you do meet your twin face to face and, you know, have some sort of connection, relationship, whatever it is with them. The reason why I say it's so different is because if you are trying to recreate the experience by saying like, okay, I feel really connected to this person, and so I'm going to do a bunch of chakra healing, and I'm going to do some meditations, and I'm really going to focus, and I'm going to say some prayers and do visualizations because I feel this special connection with this person. And then in order to have a 5D experience or experience that type of telepathy, I'm going to do all this work in order to have this experience. So the twin flame experience comes totally differently. It's usually just like you're an innocent bypasser on this journey, and then all of a sudden, boom, you are confronted with your twin flame spirit in all walks of your day. It's kind of like, it's almost like you wish sometimes that that experience would just go away because it bombards you at times, especially during the first 8 to 10 months of the twin flame connection. And sometimes it lasts even longer than that. But I know for the most part, for me, that the most intense experiences with my twin flame in the 5D happened mostly in the first 8 to 9 months. And then it kind of extended into 12 months. But there was a lot of other things happening in the background with my twin at that time, but those intense 5D connections were really the most forceful during the first 8 to 9 months of our actual connection, from the time that we activated our heart chakras together. So that's really the total difference, and I'll explain some of the experiences that I had and some of the experiences that you may also be having as a result of these 5D experiences that kind of creep up on you. Because I get a lot of twin flames that come to me and they're like, holy cow, and that's, you know, that's putting it mildly. They're like, holy cow, like I feel like I'm literally going crazy because I feel like my twin is with me all the time. And we're in separation, and I feel like they're with me, like I can't get a break from them. They are just with me all the time. And I know exactly that experience. Now, my experience, like I said, is a little bit different because I was seeing my twin physically on a daily basis during the first 8 to 9 to 12 months of our connection. And we did have a dating experience. I'm not going to go any further than say that, but we did have a dating experience together. So we did have a physical connection together. Of course we did. But the telepathy, the telepathic sags, the talking to each other verbally in the 5D, the lucid dreaming, where we were actually having full-on conversations in the 5D, soul travel, spirit travel, like all of that was happening was so incredibly intense and so incredibly real that there were times that I would literally have to ask my twin, can you please let me go back to sleep? Can you please stop talking to me? Because at times it got so incredibly intense that I couldn't really even focus on my day. And so it was just this intensity. And I know a lot of you have experienced that. Now, again, if you haven't experienced at least some of that, then I would put into perspective like maybe what kind of connection this is, because since your twin spirit lives inside of you full time, it's not like a part-time living situation, and you live in your twin soul full time as well, you are bound to have these experiences. It is inevitable. It's bound to happen upon activation. I really believe as well that before activation, your twin soul and your soul in your twin's body were actually giving you 5D messages prior to even meeting in person in the 3D, or even prior to that heart chakra activation. Now, here is why I tell you this. I give the experience of how I made a sudden move to California. In fact, it was a planned move in a way. It was something that I had been pondering over for many years. It's just that the ideal circumstances and situations never quite aligned in order to go ahead and make that move. I had a lot of family obligations, still do, but a lot of family obligations. I had a business. I had like a brick and mortar business that I couldn't leave for a long time. And it just there weren't the ideal circumstances. But then in mid-2017, I started to get this like itch. Now, if you followed my story, if you've seen my story, if you've seen my previous videos, you know exactly what happened in July of 2017. But in retrospect, if I were to look back, from that point forward until I finally did move to California in June of 2018, it was like this precipitous thing inside of me that made it so that the only thing I could do was move to California. It was like there were no other options. It was like I had to do it. Just like if you have to pee really badly and you have to go and find a toilet like straight away, it was that sense of urgency. And I had no idea why. Like I said, the dream had always been in my heart. I always had plans to move to California, but this was insane. This was totally beyond me. This was totally beyond something that I could control, and I couldn't even explain it. I couldn't understand it, and I couldn't explain it. All I knew was that by June 2018, I had to be living in California. I absolutely, positively had to be living there. The story goes is that this is where I met my twin, and there is more to our story, but if I hadn't been in California at the time, I wouldn't have been at a particular place where we met, because of many circumstances and many events that had to orchestrate and come together in order for me to be at that place. So it's just that when I asked my twin's soul, hey, is it you? Like, were you the one behind the scenes that was pushing me to get to California? The answer was yes, that was the reason. That was a reason for that sense of urgency that I absolutely positively had to do it. And of course, I wasn't cognizant of it at that time because I wasn't cognizant of either twin flames or my twin flame. But in retrospect, when I start putting all the pieces together, I realized that my twin soul was actually speaking to me, guiding me, urging me into the direction where I was going and in the direction where I continue to go consistently throughout my life. That is just one small example of the urgency, the importance, the prevalence that your twin soul takes and that you take in your twin's life, of course, but also that communication that is in constant motion in the 5D world and the spiritual world. So what are some of the things that you can experience in the 5D? Now, this is not a comprehensive list at all. It is just some of the experiences that I have experienced, and it's some of the experience that other people that I know who are twin flames have also experienced, including some of you guys, some of you viewers out there who have shared your experiences with me. One of the experiences that is a constant is visitation in dreams. Now, what I do want to tell you guys, and I want you to check out this video, I'm going to post it below. I posted a video on Psychic Powers 101 or Psychic Insights 101, but it's on the 4 Clairs. The 4 Clairs, and I go way into detail in this video. So go ahead after this video and just click on that video so you can understand like the psychic opening that happens for twin flames, but also like if you have psychic abilities that you weren't aware of, you can get a little bit more clarity on that because most twin flames are very psychic or have opened up to their psychic faculties. So they're clairvoyance, which most people are familiar with, which is seeing, clairaudience, which is hearing, claircognizance, which is like getting messages through your thoughts, and clairsentience, which is through your feelings. So my 2 strongest clairs are claircognizance, clairsentience, Clairaudience, and then the 4th one is clairvoyance. So the clairvoyance for me is the weakest clair, and I'm not sure why. That's just the way it is. That doesn't mean that I do not have clairvoyance. I clearly have clairvoyance because it has happened in many instances. However, it's not my strongest. In the dreams, what often happens is your twin will come consistently to you in your dreams, and you will have full-on conversations inside of your dreams. Now, of course, we dream about a lot of different people, and we might have sexual dreams or sensual dreams or dreams about relationships or dreams with conversations. But this is a little bit different because when you have this lucid dreaming with your twin, it's usually really poignant things that are happening. It's like things that have never happened with your twin. And it's almost like future casting or future predictions of things that will happen with your twin. So I've had twins dream about, for example, getting married to their twin or having a child. And then when they wake up, they remember that child's name or what the child looks like. Or they will have instances where they will have full-on conversations with their twin and saying like, well, why did we separate? And the twin explaining exactly why they separated. Or even the twin coming into your dreams and saying, hey, I am your twin flame. So there are many different things, but the dreams are usually a lot more organized because, as you know, dreams tend to be very like erratic and disorganized, and they kind of like fold in a lot of different scenes of your life and imagination and all of that. But the lucid dreaming that tends to happen with twin flames is a lot more than that. So that is one thing. So we're going to start with this nighttime. The other thing that tends to happen with twin flames is something through clairaudience or hearing. So this is a very strong one for me with my particular twin. This is not a strong one for me in daily living, but it is a strong one for my twin and I together. So in the early days, when I would wake up from a dream, or I would be dreaming, or I would be like waking up in the middle of the night, maybe to go to the bathroom, oftentimes I would hear my twin flame speaking to me, like auditorily speaking to me. Now, he wasn't in the room with me at the time, but he was auditorily telling me something, auditorily speaking something to me. And there was no mistake that it was his voice. There was no mistake that it was his tone. There was no mistake that it was him. It was absolutely positively him. Auditory, so that's if you are clairaudient or if clairaudience is your sense of preference, or if it's your twin flame's sense of preference or their clair. Since clairaudience is not my particular strength, it is for my twin flame. He prefers to communicate to me through clairaudience when we are communicating in the 5D. That is a really, really strong one for us. It has even happened in daylight waking hours where if he wants to redirect me, for example, so there have been times in the past where he wanted to redirect me or tell me something like, I don't want you doing this, or I prefer that you didn't do this, or please do this. And it was always very nice, very polite, always his voice, always his voice, always his words. And you can tell because, of course, the tone of your voice, you know your twin's tone, you know the cadence of their speech. You know the vocabulary words that they typically choose. Everybody has a different set of vocabulary words that they tend to use over and over again, or just like expressions, or maybe regional expressions, or accent, for example, if they're from another country. So my twin and I, we do communicate a lot over Clairaudience. Again, more from his side to my side, because that's not my super duper strength. It doesn't mean that I haven't done it. Of course, I've done it in response to him, but that is another way. Now, the other way is through Clairsentience. So it's just like feeling the other person. And now this is another really strong one. Like I said, my two Clairs are Claircognizance and Clairsentience. And I have a tendency to feel my twin a lot. So you might feel the brush on the skin, you might feel a kiss, you might feel a hug, you might feel them stroking your hair or stroking your cheek, which does happen with a lot of twin flames. I get twin flames that tell me this all the time. For me, it was mostly nighttime was a big one for us, especially in those first 9 months. It was a big one where I would get a lot of simultaneous 5D experiences with him. So a lot of times it was like him lying next to me, or lying in front of me, or standing in front of me, and just feeling his energy kind of like hovering over me, if you will. And even then, like, those are some of the experiences, especially in the beginning when you don't understand what's going on. It can totally, totally freak you out, and it can spook you, and it can make you scared, because you're like, this feels like a ghost presence, because it almost does feel like a ghost presence if you're not aware that that's actually your twin flame. But I knew it was my twin flame when it first started happening, because I felt it was him. Like, everything about the presence, everything about the clairsentient energy was his energy. It couldn't have been anybody else's energy. It was clearly his energy. That was one experience. And in fact, in the beginning, a lot of twins will notice that for the first 3 to 4 months that they are in separation with their twin, or maybe even in connection and then separation with their twin, that for usually the first 3 to 4 months, that their twin will wake them up, their twin spirit will wake them up periodically during the night, usually anywhere between 2 and 4 a.m., and will have a clairsentient presence with them. And it can get super annoying, especially if you need to sleep and go to work the next day. And in fact, that did happen to me early in the process, where it was like a continual thing around 3:30, 3:33. A lot of you will see that you'll wake up at like 3:33, and then lo and behold, there is your twin's presence with you. A lot of times I would just be like, I would say his name out loud, and I would say, please, I need to get some sleep. I love you. I care about you. I need you to just let me sleep right now. And so, and again, this sometimes would happen again at like 5 a.m. So it would happen like between 2 and 3 a.m. or 3 and 4 a.m. And then it would happen again like at 5 a.m. And I was just like, ah. But it's you and your twin awakening, and awakening to each other's energies, awakening to each other's presence in the 5D. Chances are, if you are feeling your twin very strongly, chances are you're visiting them at night too. Your half of the soul is kind of waking them up or disturbing their sleep in the middle of the night as well. So that's a clairsentience. Now, you can also feel your twin through clairsentience in the daytime. It doesn't have to be at night. So that's one other way in which you can really feel your twin. Those are a couple of the ways. So the clairaudience, the clairsentience, then there's a claircognizance. Now, since I said claircognizance is my strength, that is my strongest one, I hear through thoughts. So I hear his voice through thoughts. He hears my voice through thoughts. And that is one way in which we keep our telepathic communication going in separation. So it's really funny, because this started really early on. And I tell the story about how our telepathic communication started even before we met. When we met, and then kind of, we didn't formally have like an individualized conversation until right before our heart chakra activation. So it's not like we didn't know each other. We did know each other. We could see each other, but I knew there was something weird about it. And I do tell that story in my book, Twin Flame Romance. I knew there was something weird about it, but I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why I was attracted to him. I didn't understand why I wanted to be near him. I didn't understand why. But our telepathic communication was a constant during that, and there were a lot of signs to that. So there was like, coincidences in speech, coincidences in seeing each other, coincidences in meeting. But I believe it was because we were continuously conversing with each other through that time until the heart chakra activation. And then at that point, it was just like the telepathy was on all the time. It was like on and never off. And so it was just this like constant communication through our thoughts, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at times it got really strong and at times it got weaker, but it was always a constant. That telepathy, that telepathic communication was always, always, always a constant. Now it got so much for me that I started to write everything down because I had to. It was almost like I had so much in my head that was coming from him that I just needed to download it, if you will, and just like write it down on paper. And so that is another sign, is if you're constantly sharing thoughts and going back and forth and literally having conversations. These are literal conversations in telepathy. It's like you say something, they say something, you say something, they say something, it's like a continual stream of conversation. And again, sometimes it can get too intense and overwhelming, and sometimes you have to actually shut it off. You have to say like, okay, it was good talking with you, but I kind of need to just like go about my daily day now. Like I need to focus, because at times it can get very hard to focus when you are in this constant telepathic communication with your twin. Now, I have mentioned to you as well, clairvoyance. Now, clairvoyance is when you can see your twin when they're not there. You can see an outline of them. You can see them physically when they're not there. Some twins report, like for example, they'll look into the mirror and they'll see their twin behind them, or they'll see their twin in front of them looking back at them in the mirror, or they'll just see that visual outline or the visual of their twin in this clairvoyant way of communicating in the 5D with their twin. For me personally, that has never happened. Now, why hasn't it happened? I just believe it hasn't happened because my clairvoyance is not super honed, and it's not a skill that I have polished and shined. And when it does happen, when clairvoyance does happen for me, it's involuntary. It's completely involuntary. It's because my angels want me to see something visually. And since they want me to see something visually, it appears before my eyes. But it's not a skill that I have perfected. The other clairs are much stronger. And since it isn't a clair that I have perfected, it has not happened to me. So that is totally normal too. So if you are more of a visual person, or if your twin is more of a visual person and you do see things in pictures and images a lot more, you might have this sense of clairvoyance with your twin where you actually see them appear in physical form as part of 5D communication. So I know this can seem weird. I know it can seem overwhelming. I know it can feel like you're going crazy sometimes, but rest assured, it's really truly nothing different than having psychic abilities, because in essence, that's what it is. It's extrasensory perception. And twin flames share this as a special gift to exchange with each other. And it's another way in which they can communicate with each other. And it's a really beautiful way in which they can communicate with each other. Now, however you communicate with your twin in the 5D spiritual world, there really is no wrong way that you can communicate with your twin. Whatever tends to resonate with you, whatever tends to resonate with your twin, is going to be honestly the way in which you communicate. And like I said, it's so funny when it does happen, and it's truly special when you get to check in with your twin and you see what has happened for them as well in the 5D. It's incredibly magical. It's amazing and it's magical, and it's such a special part of the connection. So enjoy it. It might seem weird in the beginning, but eventually you'll get used to communicating with your twin in the 5D. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to this channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for sharing this video with other twin flames, and thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. You can buy a book, or 2 or 3. You can also pledge your support on Patreon. We do a private party podcast every single month for patrons on Patreon. www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondon, and I will see you in the next video.